Greetings, everyone. It's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Tony Johnson. Mr. Tony Johnson is the general manager for Holiday Inn in San Antonio, but he also oversees two other hotels, one in Houston and another one in New Orleans. So today, Mr. Johnson is going to talk to us about careers in hospitality and looking at it from a leadership perspective. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Johnson with some questions. And so my first question to you, Tony, is when you recruit entry-level managers, what are the three most important traits that you look for?
Yeah, absolutely. Thankfully, we have some experience here hiring new college recruits, and the team and I, whether it's here at the hotel or other general managers, what I look for, tenacity. I think tenacity is important in the aspect that you have to show some examples of how you are tenacious and can persevere despite whatever challenges are thrown at you. And certainly great examples can be academically, since they're still in school or just out of school, athletically. As a college student athlete, I know how difficult it can be to balance time and to really be tenacious in pursuing your goals. So it gives the prospect a lot of latitude in coming up with some examples that really show tenacity, because that's what it takes in the hotel world. Whether it's dealing with owners, management companies, certainly colleagues and employees, you really need that tenacity to overcome challenges and obstacles. I also think creativity is vitally important these days. And that's creative in problem solving, creative in how you make your offer compelling, how you make an experience at a hotel compelling, whether it's digitally, artistically, or certainly through the service experience. And then lastly, I think the ability to connect and engage with different types of personality. Again, you're looking at diversity within your team. You're looking at diversity with the guests that come into a hotel. You're looking at diversity with ownership groups, with brand management, and you really have to understand what all the personalities are and how you can appeal to different personalities to really get what you want to get, whether it's through selling or through delivering an experience, or certainly through selling financial results, for example.
Well, that's wonderful, Tony. Thank you so much for that insight. Now, I know you've been a general manager for a while and had a lot of experience and the different pathways to becoming a general manager. But would you share with us what are some of the typical steps that you go along the way to reaching the level of a GM of a hotel?
Yeah, that's a difficult one because if you look at my background, it's pretty unique in terms of how I got to where I am. Starting off in the hotel as a bartender and night audit while I was working my way through school, and then I decided to take the corporate route. Once I graduated, I decided I wanted to be the CFO of Holiday Inn, so I decided to take a finance path at the corporate end, not even at the hotel level. So I spent 9 years there, and then decided, you know what, this is not as much fun as being back in the hotel. And in internal audit, I still had a sense of what the hotel operations was like. So my background or my steps are quite unique. When I look at my colleagues, it's typically more operationally oriented, rooms background, F&B. I think it's interesting also, we have a recent example within IHG of a regional director of sales becoming a first-time general manager at a large intercontinental hotel in a major metropolitan area. So that's what I think makes it so exciting, is that there is no cookie cutter path to get to a GM or a leadership position. It goes back to the answers I gave in the first question about the characteristics, the tenacity, the creativity, and the ability to engage. So really no secret recipe, hard work and just adaptability.
Well, that's great. That perspective is very important, and I'll highlight for the students listening the fact that you were CFO. Just want to highlight how important the numbers are and understanding the numbers of a business. So that's
They
really
are.
for them to know that. I'm sure that's really come in very handy as you moved up the ladder. So that's wonderful. Um, so I know there's a lot of challenges as a GM. It looks like a glamorous job, but there's certain things, and I'm sure you can name number of challenges that GMs have to face. But if you would identify one of the most challenging aspects of being a general manager of a hotel, what would that be, and why would you say that's the most challenging for you?
Certainly in this current environment, you read the news, and the ability to attract and retain talent is the number one challenge. Certainly at the hotel level, and I would think even at the corporate level as well, if some of the students decide to pursue a career more on the corporate level. But as a GM right now, it's all about attracting and retaining talent. It's not so much the cost of salaries and wages increasing in order to get them. Yes, you're going to find yourself in a bidding war sometimes for top talent, but at the end of the day, if you can't retain them and if you can't provide that culture and that experience for employees, then you're going to lose them no matter how much you're paying them. And I think it's important for leaders to really demonstrate and create a culture that is inviting and allows these employees to be themselves and to be able to prosper their own way. But you got to get them in the door, and attracting them, having a compelling story about you as an employer, I think is critical. And fortunately, we find ourselves pretty stable, all things considered. And I think it's because of the efforts we partake in keeping them and creating a culture that's rewarding and still demanding. We're demanding, but we're fair, and we reward great results.
No, that's great, and I'll just digress a little bit because you hit upon such an important issue. And just recently, Keksla, who's moderating things for us right now, she just participated in a international competition in Switzerland online, and their challenge question was, how do you attract and retain employees? So their team actually worked on that just until this afternoon when she presented. So it's very interesting that you highlighted the same issue.
I'd love to hear what they presented.
Sure. At some point, I think when they have it ready, we'll certainly share that with you.
Excellent.
So you've been a GM for a while, and obviously there are challenges, but I'm sure the fact that you've been in this for such a long time, there's a lot of interesting and exciting parts to being a general manager of a hotel. How would you say would be the one most exciting aspect of being a hotel general manager?
I think it's all about the diversity. It's the diversity of experiences, the diversity of skill sets that you really have to find within yourself, and certainly the diversity of the people you work with. That's what I find so extraordinarily exciting about this business. I'm a golfer, and a lot of people ask me about that experience of moving from corporate to the hotels, because most people go from hotels to corporate, and I did something a little unique in going from corporate to the hotels. And I said, it's a lot like golf. In golf, you hit a lot of bad shots, but every now and then you hit a good shot. And in any given day, there's a lot of things that go wrong in my day, but there's always one or two where you've really impacted a colleague, an owner, or a guest that makes it far outweighs all the other bad things that have happened in your day. And that's what I mean by the diversity of what you experience in working with people, guests, employees alike, and certainly ownership groups. That's what I found. I got bored with the financial aspect of it because it was a little more one-dimensional. But like you said earlier, that's really the foundation. If you've got to have a strong financial background in order to really get through all the other stuff. So fortunately, I was able to leverage that and use some personality and just my love for this diversity to I guess succeed in the business, and that's what keeps me coming back every day, never knowing what I'm going to experience tomorrow.
That's great, Tony. These insights have been so valuable, and the students will cherish this video interview. And so, I guess, in closing, my final question, and the students are young. Some of have not worked in hospitality. They're trying to figure out their pathway. So, in closing, my final question is that, as advice to young students who are looking to start their career with a hotel company, what would you say are the 3 most important facts they should consider before they join that company? Because we always feel a good start will either keep them or turn them away from our industry forever.
Yeah, great question. I think first and foremost, how the company can demonstrate its ability to develop and promote the professionals that it employs. What kind of investments do they make into talent development? What is their track record in promoting within, and what type of people get promoted there? Is it who you know, or is it what you know? So to me, I think that's very important, because as a college graduate, you don't necessarily see your starting point as your end point. So just like anything else, you start with the end in mind. So I think a company has to be able to demonstrate that it has a solid history of promoting. I also think you've heard me talk about culture a lot. I think culture is vitally important, and what the company stands for. What are the values? How do they stand on human issues? What do they do to improve the well-being of the community in which they serve, as well as general society? Just understanding what their DNA is like. And I think if you see a company committing to causes outside of the business, says a lot to them. And not that I'm going to pitch IHG, but that's one of the many attractive attributes of IHG is what they give back. And then lastly, I think it's got to be about about having the creativity and a place that allows you to exercise your personality and creativity. I hired a recent college graduate in a catering capacity here at my home hotel. And, I check in with her every couple of months and asked her how she's doing. And she talks about how she really loved the opportunity to kind of rewrite her job description. That we didn't give her a lane to swim in and said, this is your lane, stay within your lane. We allowed her to, in this particular example, she has a love for the arts, and she was able to use her talent and creativity and her love for the arts to really put a different twist on catering sales and service. And she said, Tony, that was the most rewarding thing you could have done for me, because I've had other employees that really said, here's your lane, stay within it. So I think if students can explore, research, investigate on how they can be themselves within an organization, I think that's critically important.
Well, this has certainly been a treat, and I'm sure the students will get a lot out of this brief presentation. And now we're looking forward to your not virtual but real visit to the Valley, where we can host you and introduce you to our students in person. So once again, Tony, thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to meeting you in the Valley in person.
Thank you for the opportunity, and I definitely look forward to coming down there in about a month, sometime in April.
Great.